I'm talking to Robert Ruiz. Now, Robert, you've been involved in Plaza Mayor. Really, you had a similar idea to Plaza Mayor even before, Jose Legaspi came along and started working with Roddy Bates and the other investors to convert former Crossroads Mall, which is behind you there. And let me also say that we are in a private parking lot that is not property of Plaza Mayor, because I was thrown out of Plaza Mayor once when I was talking to you.
Sure.
And talking to one of the other tenants. They didn't want me talking to you guys. So we're on private property here. I've looked up county records, and that's the reason why we are not up close in the parking lot. We are off of Plaza Mayor property here on purpose, because of past experiences we've had with the management here. Now, Robert, tell us a little bit about what the management name is here. What management company runs Plaza Mayor?
The official management company is CRM Properties. That's where checks for rent went to, and that's what contracts were made under. And then the ownership group is called Raptor Properties.
Okay, right. The manager here claims that Raptor has never had anything to do with this, but the whole time, when you were actually their marketing manager, where did you get your checks from? Did you get them from CRM Properties, which is who they say this was, or did you get your checks from Raptor?
No, I was an employee of Raptor Properties.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I was an employee of Raptor Properties. My benefits, also came from that group as well. And so yeah, and Raptor Properties was also listed as the entity that purchased the mall when it was able to do that through the auction from the federal government.
Yeah. So. What year was that they bought the property? It was a bankrupt property, wasn't it?
I believe it was bought in 2011.
Okay.
And it was bought for $3.5 million, and that included the inline space, and it included the JCPenney's, the former, no, I'm sorry. Yes, the JCPenney space, the former Montgomery Ward, Stephen Barry space, and the auto out parcel as well.
Yeah.
Did not include the Macy space, which was owned by a different entity.
Right.
And did not include the Dillards, which was actually still owned by Dillards at the time.
Yeah.
And then shortly after I came on, they were able to purchase the Dillards building. So.
Right. Yeah. So currently Santa Fe South is in the old Montgomery Ward building, the anchor store on the east end of the property here, and Chris Brewster has assured me this closing here isn't going to affect him at all, because that's a separately owned property. When I looked in county tax records, it shows that building and the parking lot to the east of it there is all being one parcel there.
And that's great news, because I started working on that deal probably about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Talking with some of the groups that were interested in purchasing some facilities to be able to establish high quality schools here on the south side. So
yeah. Okay. Well, so what is it then that has happened over time? You said that you had the idea to make this a Hispanic theme. That's actually been done several other times before. Proven concept.
Right.
Not just Jose Legaspi out of Southern California, but also other people around the country have had success with that Hispanic theme model of converting a dead mall and making it live again.
Right.
So you had that idea, didn't you?
Well, I had approached the management at the time, probably about, it had to have been 10 or 11 years ago now, that I actually approached the management at that time of Crossroads, which I believe under that time it was under, I don't think it was under Macerich at that time. I'm not sure who the ownership was, but I approached management. I knew the marketing director, and I knew the gentleman that they had hired as a consultant out of Florida, and so approached him about taking the mall into a little bit more Hispanic focus, or at least making overtures to the Hispanic demographic that was growing very quickly around this area at the time. But at the time, they really weren't interested, and it was probably just on the verge of when it was about to go downhill. You know,
yeah.
And so, so yeah, at that time they didn't show much interest, and so you know, I had already been trying to establish a cultural center here since probably 1998.
Wow.
It started with conversations at the University of Oklahoma. University of Oklahoma used to have a Hispanic Cultural Center, and talked to Nick Hathaway there about reestablishing one. And luckily, he and others at the university were able to start connecting me to a broader community. Because at that time I was a student, so I was pretty much limited to OU. But started connecting me with people in the broader community in Norman. Actually, it was 99. Actually, I remember now. And getting involved with the visioning process of Norman, getting involved with the library system. Out of those conversations came the Hispanic Heritage Festival in Norman, and started getting more involved with the Hispanic community here on the south side of Oklahoma City, more involved with the media, more involved with arts and culture. Yeah. And so a lot of things were really starting to come together on that side of things, and the need was just growing and growing. Right. And you could see that the trend was going to continue for many, many years to come, which it did. Yeah. And so that's why at that time I was in Rotary together with the marketing manager of Crossroads Mall, along with the consultant as well. Yeah. And so that's kind of that? Christy Moore. Okay. Yeah, that was who we had a meeting with here at Crossroads, and we talked to her about this direction. But I think at that time it wasn't within the vision of the ownership. So so it didn't happen. But it was no secret, you know, to people out in the community that this is what you know, wanted to do and wanted to get established. I talked to various people about it and the vision of what it could be, and luckily that resulted in when the new owners bought the mall, they had you know, came upon the model in Fort Worth, and saw that was a feasible model for turning around a dead mall, and decided to go that route. And so I guess I think kind of simultaneously they started a conversation with the gentleman who had been one of the gentlemen who had been involved with that project down in Fort Worth, and then asking locally around. They had a friendship with Joe Cardenas. Joe Cardenas, and Joe made the referral back to me to say, you know, this is the guy here locally that's connected with culture, connected with business, that could potentially take this project on and make it happen. So that was really nice. It was you know, and
so that was kind of the beginning. I'm trying to keep it inside the YouTube 10 minutes here. So
sure.
So fast forward a little bit. You're the marketing manager then. Once they established it as Plaza Mayor, original plans and original talk to the press, to the legacy press at the time, was that they're going to change the whole appearance of the mall. As a matter of fact, the signage kind of reflects that kind of Spanish motif, that they were going to spend a lot of money on the mall. They're even going to build a rodeo arena over there. And in fact, you used this big parking lot for several big events, didn't you? When you were the marketing manager here, right?
So when I was the marketing manager here, I established the whole cultural program, the program for launching the new name and new branding of the mall. And many of it had much success, but part of that initial launch was also an unveiling of the architectural plans, of the investment that was going to be made. You know, at that time we were informing the press that there would be an investment of about $15 to $20 million that would be made into the property to do some of the things that needed to be done. I mean, you know, remodeling of restrooms, really creating a center around families, you know, additional seating area, a lounge for some of our older generation, you know, a state-of-the-art performing arts center in the center of the mall.
What they ended up doing was building a small stage, never built the rodeo arena, The mall basically looks the same way it did when it was built in 1971 or 72.
74.
Except for paint, you
Right.
know, changing some paint on it. And the interior of the mall still looks just almost exactly the same as I remember it when I first walked in the mall in like about 78, something like that. So what happened to all that investment? What happened to all those promises of investment?
So none of those investments were ever made. And in fact, on top of that, even the maintenance was in many ways deferred in a lot of different ways. Things were patched. Very little was done as far as things that they knew needed to be done, including things like replacing an old chiller. That when that broke down, that was kind of nail in the coffin sort of thing.
Yeah. Matter of fact, they cut off air conditioning right after, just days after, I understand.
That's correct.
From another one of the tenants. Is that correct, that they cut off air conditioning to the mall altogether, just kind of the weekend after they made the announcement that they were going to close on this day?
That was correct, and actually the tenants had lost several days during the summer as well when that chiller broke, because it was just unbearable. In fact, we were running a student camp at the time inside the mall, and we had to find a new place to take the kids because it was just not a place conducive for having children in the mall.